One, two, one, two, one, two. Hello. Hello, 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 hello. Are we on? Sorry about that, people. Let us know if we are on. I don't know why my audio's gone off. Yes, you can hear me. You can hear me. Everyone's like, yes, we can, we can. Is the audio okay, though? I don't want to be talking consistently and then it's very, like, kind of, and I sound like a robot or something. If you guys tell me the audio is okay, I'm good to go. We'll get cracking. Just need a message. Obviously, I know on TikTok it sounds fine, but tip-top clear. Awesome. Right. Let me restart the show and give you a proper introduction because you clearly didn't hear the first introduction. You just saw me moving like this. I can imagine what the first introduction would look like was me going... We're not going to do that. So, clear the chest. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Real Reds Talk, an authentic football fan channel made in Manchester. The topics on the table today for you lot, ladies and gentlemen. If you are on the YouTube, you will be able to see the topics on the screen. If you are not, I shall read them out for you. You already know what one of them is because the guy is directly behind me. So, Alejandro Garnacho to Aston Villa is heating up. Let's discuss the possibility of that. We have had a tier 1 journalist from Brentford confirm that the deal is most likely to happen now. He thinks Brentford are going to accept it. But there's a lot of noise coming out from Ben Jacobs about Sesko being a possibility. And if you look at the striker market at the moment, there's very few left on there, so we need to get moving. And also some further kind of details on Carrington and all the upgrades and everything that's going on there as well. So quite a chunky show to get into, and it's nice to see quite a few numbers in here as well. So please do leave a like on the video for us and subscribe to the channel. We are on 19,267 subs, people. So anyone on TikTok, if you like football content, you know where it's at. We're actually getting news in at the minute as well that Benjamin Sesko is open to a United move, which is, I mean, this fucking transfer market is just bizarre, innit? Just very, very, very bizarre, which way it's kind of swinging. You've heard Watkins, Sesko, Osman. It's going everywhere. I'll save it for Sesko because I do like him as a player and I have quite strong thoughts on him, bringing him into United. But before we get to that, let's just discuss this Alejandro Garnacho situation because that is the headline, that's the thumbnail, that's what we're going for. And that is news that's been reported from multiple journalists. Hurst Class, who is... I've seen that name float about loads before. Whether it's definitely not a tier 1. I'd say more kind of mid-tier, tier 2, whatever you want to call it. Paul Hurst. He's a reporter for the Times Sport covering City and Manchester United. So... it's not like, you know, some guy sat in his fucking bedroom in Wales making up a rumour like what happened with Qatar and that. That's not this kind of similar situation. There's a form of credibility there, okay? So he's saying Aston Villa want to sign Garnacho, right? And I'm thinking about the landscape at the minute with the attacking players that we've got because we've got so many that we need to sell. We've got Marcus Rashford. You look at the possibilities there, you think... Barcelona is something that he keeps mentioning. I mean, you could say, Marcus, what do you want for tea? And he's going to say, Barcelona. It's like Ten Hag with trophies, if we all remember those kind of press conferences. Ask him any question. Trophies, huh? Clear. Rashford just wants Barcelona. But there is a situation at the minute where Bayern Munich and Barcelona have gone for similar players, right? So they both went in for Nico Williams. And Nico Williams was like, not sure, deal can't happen. Okay, I'm going to stay here, sign some giant 10-year contract, I think it was, or 8-year contracts, giving out Chelsea kind of things. So he stayed there. And then there was a situation with Luis Diaz. Obviously, with everything that I think the Jota situation would have played into this, they don't want to sell an attacker unless it's like astronomical amounts. They want to push up towards near 80, 90 million for any kind of offers. And I think Bayern Munich offered 60. So that's the situation there, and we know that Marcus Rashford, because Christian Falk reported this, who's quite good around kind of anything to do with Germany, Florian Plettenberg, Christian Falk, these kind of guys, and they're the go-to ones, especially if it's around Bayern Munich. So he said that Marcus Rashford is on the list. However, he's not an A target or a B target. It's kind of C or D or whatever you want to call it. So I think that can only be good for us. If they can't get that deal over the line, hopefully they will move on to that situation now where you've got Marcus Rashford lined up and you start a bit of a tug of war. Do you know what I mean? A couple of clubs going after it because we're not quite getting that bite and we're not quite getting that competition at the moment where we're like, I don't know, Chelsea seem to do it. Chelsea seem to get a player who's, I don't know, about 15, 20 million, doesn't play much, and they flip it, 30 mil, 35. We've never been great at selling players, ever. So any form of competition that pushes a sale can only be a thumbs up from me. We know Romano reported the other night that Chelsea are potentially interested in Alejandro Garnacho because Noni Madueke has gone to Arsenal, who, by the way, do I save it for the Mbeumo section or do I do it now? I'll save it for the Mbeumo section. We just put a clip up. I'll expand on that in a minute. But yes, Hussein, you're absolutely spot on. Chelsea are the best at selling players. They are incredibly good at selling players. We are incredibly bad at selling players. But you think about Garnacho and Aston Villa, I actually think that is a really, really good fit. Not just because this guy's putting up pictures in an Aston Villa kit. Maybe, I don't know, if he manages to materialise that somehow, then fair play to him. But we've all seen the picture. It's on TikTok. It's behind me at the minute. There's something there, right? There's a connection through whatever route you want to go through. But I think actually as a player and tactically... Oh my God, you know what I just realised? I've got my glasses on, have I? Bloody hell, what am I doing? Am I going to have to start the show again? No, I'm only joking. I think if you look at the way Aston Villa play, that transitional style, I think he would really, really, really fit him. But the only thing I will say is I don't know what the situation is with PSR with them at the minute, because they was one of the worst in the league, if not the worst in the league when the figures came out. So if they do need to sell, we like some of their players, and that's where the conversation comes into it, and I'm going to get into the chat in a minute about, is there anything we can work here with a swap deal? Because we've looked at a couple of their players, Ollie Watkins being one of them. We desperately need a striker. Emi Martinez is another one who apparently has a 21 million pound release clause, which I didn't know about at all. I don't get how Aston Villa are asking for 40 million pound when there's a release clause in there. If that is the case, if there are any Aston Villa fans, whether you're watching on YouTube, unlikely, more so TikTok, talk to me about that situation. Is there actually a release clause, or is it? Yeah, what's kind of the dynamic with that? But yeah, could this be a part deal for Watkins? Could it be a part deal for well, not a part deal, but Emi Martinez? Could there be a shift there? Would that actually help their PSR regulations? How would that work? The dynamic? I'm not entirely sure, but this is why you lot are here, because I'm flying solo tonight, and you guys are the guest. So let's have a conversation. I bet the intro was fire too. Yeah, we lost the best intro ever. Hope you guys are well. While we wait for Nick, what you saying about Watkins and Martinez? Right, everyone's chatting amongst themselves, which is good. Very interesting. The sound fades out from time to time. Is that just me? Oh God, don't say that. It's just you, Charlie. I don't know. I've not had audio issues for a while, so if it's happening now, I don't know what to tell you, to be honest. At this rate, I'd take literally anything for Sancho and anything around 30 or more for Rashford. If we were to swap Garner for Watkins and Emi, that's two biggest wages coming in. They won't do 2 for 1. We should know by now the history of United and deals. They'll always lowball us. What they're probably thinking in their head is, we'll just give him Emi Martinez for Garnacho. We want 40 for Martinez. Garnacho, we could probably get 45, 50 because of the situation. That's probably their thinking. Always low ball, and then you can work your way up in terms of bargaining. Charlie's just put, Benjamin Sesko's open to joining Manchester United, even with the football club unable to offer European football next season. Yeah, I'm going to get into that. I'll talk about Sesko, don't worry. Because anyone who's watched this channel, I know this image behind me is old. I'm not stupid. This happened months ago. I know he wore a Villa shirt a while ago. It's because he's been linked with Aston Villa kit, you know. Anyway, I'll talk about Sesko because anyone who watches this channel knows I'm a big fan of Benjamin Sesko, and I would be all for that move. But again, it's all about opinion, innit? You should go to Forest, perfect for them. They have plenty of money too. Yeah, again, Nottingham Forest, transitional team. You think how well Elanga did there. You think Hudson-Odoi. I think it's perfect for him. Absolutely agree with that. It was me, the sound was moving. No problem. Right, let's move on to Mbeumo, because, right, I went live earlier on today about, I don't know when it was, probably about 3 was it when that news broke, something like that. And since then, we haven't had any major updates, but we've had a journalist from Standard Sport who covers Brentford. It was tier 1 when it comes to Brentford. And the name on X, it's hard to actually say. It's I can't even say it. Tabutus. That's the guy. Tier 1. Brentford, reporting that United's third offer worth 65 million plus 5 for Bryan Mbeumo is expected to be accepted. No decision yet, but the new bid matches Brentford's demands. So that's just a very quick update on Bryan Mbeumo. But I don't want to overdo it with the Mbeumo stuff, but yeah, that seems like it's going to happen, which can only be fantastic news for us. Now, what I want to say about Mbeumo is, usually what happens with transfers to Manchester United, when we sign a player, if it's someone decent, each fan base will try tear it down almost immediately. And TikTok is a funny place. You do your scrolling, which I probably shouldn't, because I'm looking at screens 10 hours a day with the job that I do. So I probably shouldn't scroll, but sometimes you just want a bit of a doom scroll in it. You're going through. Comes up, Rory talks football. I'd like to say more Rory talks dribble, because it was Rory talks wibble, Rory talks shit. Rory? I'm doing a Jonathan Ross there. Yeah, I thought, all right, you know what? I'll give it a listen. I'll see what he's saying about this Mbeumo deal. Straight off the bat.
Mbeumo, I can't believe this. 65 plus 5, and he's only got a year left on his deal.
And you're like, I mean, if you're going to do some form of like reactionary videos, can we please have a bit of like insight and a bit of context rather than just,
I can't believe they're doing this. Typical United, blah, blah, blah.
Let's lay out the whole landscape of this deal, right? Yes, we have been working on it for a while. I've been annoyed. Lads on the channel have been annoyed. You lot have been annoyed. It's been, we were getting impatient, and it was getting to a point where it's like, you need to walk away. Everyone agreed on that, right? The fact that they were saying he's only got 1 year, that's not true, because Brentford had the option to extend for another year, so they was in a stronger position if it was just one, okay? There's another thing. Arsenal have just spent 55 million quid on Noni Madueke, who's been neither here or there for Chelsea. Relatively good player, but 55 million quid. We're only spending an initial, for the actual fixed fee, an extra 10 million quid for someone who scored 20 goals and got 7 assists in the Premier League, and has been one of the better players in the Premier League last season. Let's face it, like, absolutely carried Brentford, and has been consistent with it, and has got more experience in the Premier League. I don't know what to tell you, like, how people are moaning about this deal. It's a fair deal. 65 million quid. The way the market is, Ilanga's just gone for 55 million quid. 65 million is fine, in my opinion. People might want to disagree with that, and people will pull it down and tear it down, and they will throw figures out like Anthony, and what they'll do is they'll make his fee seem closer to it to suit their agenda and suit their narrative. So just expect all that shit to come with it. But in the actual fact, you ask any of the top clubs, if they were to sign Cunha or Mbeumo, would they complain? They fucking wouldn't. They wouldn't. So let's just leave it at that on Mbeumo, because I'm all Mbeumo'd out. 55 mil for Ilanga. I would have paid up to 80 million to get Mbeumo to United. That's from Jolly. Wow. We got the 7 of the Ilanga money, I think. I understand we need to move quicker in the market, but what's the point in people losing jobs if we're going to pay extra for Bryan? 3 mil would pay their wages for years. Second, we have to stop. To be honest, Ineos don't see it like that, do they? Ineos obviously see it more with the staff situation. I get what you're saying, but the staff, the people that they got rid of, which I never agree with. When you actually look at the metrics and statistics of how we had a really overinflated staff situation, there was just too many people when you compare it to other clubs. So it's bad taking people away and removing them, but now it seems it's more effective in what they've done in each position. I probably didn't word that right, but I don't know. They don't seem to mince kind of transfers with staff cutting, and yeah, I don't know. Wirtz costs 115 million, and Mbeumo is almost on the same level as this guy, and he's been in the Prem for years. Now, that is going to ruffle some feathers. I'm sure there's some Liverpool fans in the chat. Bobby Boy being one of them, saying, who do you think's winning the league? And again, I have to go, it's Liverpool. It's simple as that. I'll tell you now, if Liverpool, again, said this earlier on the show, on the afternoon show, if Liverpool sign Isaac, everyone pick up your ball, go home, because they are winning the league, hands down. You can't have Salah, Wirtz, Isaac, Diaz, Gravenberch, McAllister, Van Dijk, Kanate, Kirkes, Frimpong in a team, and not to mention the best goalkeeper in the world, and not win the league, and probably not, a treble, potentially. And that's how good they're going to be. Because you watch Liverpool last season, their weak link, in my opinion, was Robertson. You could get down that side at him, which is why they signed an aggressive fullback in Kirkes. And also, Not to mention that, the way tactics are shifting at the minute, there's a few things that's ongoing. So Pep has brought in Aït-Nouri, and he's also brought in... he's brought in Aït-Nouri, and he's got Mateus Nunes. They are going to be kind of touchline wing-backs, bombing up and down. This is going to become the new thing. Obviously, Pep was the inverted fullbacks who would drop into midfield and central overloads and stuff. Touchline wing-backs are on the way back. And I'm telling you now, Frimpong and Kerkez for Liverpool are going to do a madness. Trust me on that. They will do a madness. So there's a few kind of tactical flares going out there. I don't even know how I got into that conversation, to be honest with you. But my point is, the Prem is going to be super, super, super difficult this season. Super difficult. So we need as much quality as we possibly can get. And getting someone like Cunha and getting someone in like Mbeumo is a great start, but you need more if you're going to compete with the big boys, genuinely. Because all them squads that have invested, even Arsenal, City, Liverpool, they already had way better squads than us. And they've just invested significantly. We've got one over the line, one very close to being over the line. That's good for pre-season. But I think you need more, man. I think you need more. And I don't think they're necessarily going to get more. We still have the striker situation that we need to talk about. And this is where Benjamin Sesko comes into it. So, initially, we had Ben Jacobs mentioned before that he still thinks there might be legs with the Sesko deal to Manchester United, of course. And again, this kind of got repeated by Give Me Sport, which I think is Romano's outlet, or is linked to Romano or something. So, let me read it out for you, and then I'll get your thoughts on Sesko. So, Benjamin Sesko is open to a Manchester United move despite no European football. United have been tracking him for 3 years. United have told potential new signings they need to sell in order to buy. Arsenal held talks recently, but they were described as complicated by sources. United have also submitted another bid today for Mbeumo, seen as a separate deal, yada, 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 etc. So, Benjamin Sesko. Everyone's been scratching their heads. What are we going to do about the striker situation? What kind of striker do we need tactically? Who's a good fit? A lot of names have been mentioned in the past 2 months. You've gone from Mateta to Gyökeres to Victor Osimhen. Moises Kean has been mentioned, who flopped at Everton, but you know he actually got relatively good stats in Italy. But anything to do with the Italian league, I'm just like, oh no, fuck that, don't want that. There's been loads of names. Obviously, Ekitike was another one who seems like he's going to Liverpool. Praise the Lord. Not praise the Lord. I don't know what the opposite to that is. But so Sesko is the only name at the moment where you're like, Because why was the talks complicated with Arsenal? That's what makes me think. And the one reason I would think of is financially. The financial package that Leipzig... And again, Arsenal fans, if there's any in the chat, tell me otherwise. Tell me I don't know the full scope of what's happened there. But Sesko, for me, I really, really appreciate him as a player whenever I've watched him. Whether it's been an international with... Is it Slovenia or Slovakia? Sorry, I should know that. I always get mixed up between the two. In the Euros, I think it was. Whether it's been for Leipzig in the Champions League... Like, I like him as a player. I really like him as a player. I think he has the potential to go to the next Haaland, but that almost, the word potential is the killer in this kind of conversation, because we need an experienced focal point in this team at the minute. We need someone who you can rely on, who's going to come in and do the business. And a lot of people would look at that and say, you know, maybe that's Watkins, but you kind of need the middle ground between that. That's why there was so much talk about an Osimhen or a Gyökeres, because they're 26, 27 years old, so relatively experienced. They've played in Europe, they've played in Champions League, they've won titles, like, and they've got that level of consistency where they've done it. So they wouldn't be as much of a risk. Now, Sesko, in his own right, has been delivering quite well over the past couple of years. I think he's a top player. And if you would have asked me any other season, I would have said yeah to Benjamin Sesko. But I think it's such a big risk now, because if Man United go and fork out, and I said the same thing with Ekitike, if we go and fork out another 70 million quid for a young striker and it doesn't work out, and within 3-4 months people are complaining about it, saying, oh, this guy was available and this guy's available, it gets a bit ropey, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, now you've got two strikers who you spent 140 million quid on and you can't shift them and they're not scoring goals. That's the risk that you've got to take. Ask me right now, I would get Sesko. 1,000,000%. I think he's mustard, genuinely. I think he's really, really good. He's raw a bit, yeah, of course. But I think he's physical enough. He's tall, 6'5". He's actually really good with his feet. He's got a rocket of a shot. He's rapid. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I like him. And there's a reason why Arsenal was looking at him as well, by the way, because he's that good. Never said Shaw's very hard to remove, sadly. Watkins to United, Garnacho to Villa makes sense. Sesko to United doesn't make any sense. Sesko to United can only mean Vivell has been involved, doesn't suit the Amorim system. Expand on that, McMillan. Why do you not think he suits the Amorim system? Sesko, to me, when I watch him, is someone who he could do a bit of a mix. He can run beyond the lines and stretch to play. And I feel like at the minute, we need a striker to stretch to play. But also, you need a bit of a hybrid, don't you? You need someone who can play to feet, link play, and maybe that he needs working on that a little bit. But the reason why I say you need someone running beyond the lines is because with players like Cunha and Mbeumo and Bruno operating in those areas, you need as much space as possible. So that's why I was always against the idea of bringing in someone like Mateta, because Mateta's quite static. Yes, you could play it into him. But yeah, I don't know. That's why I didn't want Mateta. So yeah, I don't know. Højlund doesn't get sold this summer. Watkins with Højlund for this season, and you see what you can do next summer. Sesko is a power forward. That's the type of striker that actually fits Ruben Amorim's system. It's why they wanted Delap, who is also a power forward. I agree. I think Sesko would suit us. Genuinely. Really, really do. And I think if that's an opportunity we can do, then go do it. But are United going to muster up 70 million quid? 80 million quid for a striker. First and foremost, we're going to have to sell players first, and that's just difficult in itself, which is why I see this striker deal just kind of dragging on a little bit. I think we get Mbeumo in, and we get Cunha in as like a pairing for pre-season when we go over to America, and I think the other deals kind of happen as and when we sell. If we get rid of Garnacho, you're like, okay, there's 50 million quid. Great for PSR because he was pushed up through I know we bought him, but he was kind of pushed up through the academy. So, you know, you make a big profit there. I think we only bought him for like 400, 500 grand something. So that's a big flipping profit. Marcus Rashford, the exact same. Academy player. You get 40, 50 million for him. Amazing. You get Sancho's wages off the books. If he goes to Juventus, you're getting a shit transfer fee. But 300 grand a week off the wages. And then Anthony's situation, he's on 200 grand a week, but maybe Batiste will sort something out by then. I'm not sure. You get rid of those, you've definitely got space to manoeuvre. And you can go and get potentially someone like a Sesko. I don't know if they've got the finances for it, but you're going to have to do something, aren't you? You can't just not get a striker, surely. That would be very bizarre to me. Very, very bizarre to me. So yeah, that's where we're at with the Sesko situation. I'm going to double check for any updates whilst I'm live in a minute, and then I'll talk about everything that's ongoing with the new Carrington. But yeah, keep an eye on Sesko at the minute. Anyway, that deal, because he's also like we are. He's running out of options now. You know, Arsenal seem like very concrete. I even seen certain journalists reporting like advanced talks now. And it's like, oh, why? Arsenal's really pushing for this player, and then something got blurred along the way. So he might be happy to just stay in Germany for another season. That might be the case, and then other teams going for him. I'm not sure. But Sesko, out of everyone that's available right now, do you know what? This might be controversial. I would take, and people are going to absolutely drill me for this, I would take Benjamin Sesko over Watkins right now. Sorry to say. That's how much I like him as a player. That's how much I think he could be a top striker in the next few years. I think he could be an elite level striker. But yeah. We do have Josh. I think it'll take major strides this season. I agree. I think Joshua Zirkzee. I've said this season, we are going to start with the front three of Cunha, Mbeumo, and Zirkzee. That's the three. And that could gel. That could work well, but it's not enough. Zirkzee is good at his own game, you know, bringing it into play, dribbling, holding off defenders, you know, finding those little pockets of space. That's what he's good at. But he scored 4 or 5 goals last season. You know, you need more. You need more output. And maybe you will gel with Mbeumo and Cunha, but I'd want a striker who's going to deliver 20 goals on a plate. 100%. Right, let's move the chat on anyway, because I've spent a bit too long on Sesko. So I'm going to give you a detailed breakdown of the new Carrington training complex, which is going to be unveiled in August, okay? So, This is everything when I was reading up about it before. So the building is going to contain the latest equipment designed to enhance performance. There's going to be dedicated barber rooms at the training headquarters. There'll be a seamless system for players where they'll visit areas in sequence. Changing rooms, gyms, swimming pools, and areas for therapy and massages. The jacuzzi has been renovated. Everyone will be glad to know. Can we all remember that? Around when Piers Morgan was fucking interviewing Ronaldo, and he was like, that jacuzzi's not been done for years, and everyone made a big fuss and a fight out of the jacuzzi situation. So the jacuzzi is being renovated. No more, pieces of, I don't know what you call it, stone flicking off into the pool, whatever you want to call it. New windows have been designed in the corridors due to previous staff complaints about darkness and a gloomy atmosphere. I think that was just more of the results on the pitch, to be honest with you. The new building has been designed in an open plan style to improve collaboration between departments. Prominent club figures from non-football departments, such as commercial teams, will be relocated to work at the new Carrington, and the idea is for Carrington to become the club's operational hub. Now, something I've pushed recently quite a lot is everyone wants to talk about transfers and buy this player and buy that player and everything's going to magically just click into place. Football doesn't work like that. As much as a nice thing to think we can buy 1 or 2 players and we're going to win, everything will be all sweet and rosy again. No. When Ineos came in at United, the best way to kind of describe it is there was just shitloads of mould on the wall. And anyone who's had mould before, I'm not talking about in your bread when it's blue, I'm talking about when it's in your wall. I remember living at a flat in a situation where it was on the wall and it's a bastard to get rid of. You almost have to knock it down and to rebuild it again. And you can use that same analogy, metaphor, whatever it is for Man United. Like, they had to go in there and almost just rejig everything. From an operational standpoint, whether we're talking about scouts, obviously new senior heads of recruitment, just across the board, there's been so many changes that we've made. Some people haven't been a fan of him. People, Jay was talking about staff being removed, which I don't like and I don't appreciate, and I get that. But they seem to have streamlined quite a lot of things going in, and that kind of work doesn't get mentioned enough. People just look at the transfers and they go, oh, well, they're not signing anyone, so they must be doing shit. On the transfer front, I've been the one pushing it the most, saying, like, they need to get the business done. They need to be quicker. Like, it's not good enough spending 6 weeks on one deal. That side I agree with, but if you actually look at the detail and read into what has been going on behind the scenes, even when you look into the new things with, like, the stadiums and stuff, there is stuff being done for the future. Even look at, like, the young players that they're bringing in. Under Woodward, and it's a very low bar, by the way, but under Woodward and John Murtaugh and all these guys, like, they didn't make like competent decisions and just things that you think about. You think, like, bringing all these young talented players in or getting a really good scouting system in. Things like this, you think, why have we just sat there with our fucking hands on our ass? Like, just not doing anything. It's so bizarre to me for a club the size of Manchester United. And you've seen these changes now and you're like, what, we was never doing that? Eh? Do you know what I mean? And, like, our reputation in the market is probably at its lowest. Really, really low for all the deals that we've done. Look, they paid 85 million quid for Antony. Look, they paid 70 million quid for Højlund. They paid 80 million quid for Maguire. They paid 70 odd million quid for Jadon Sancho. They give all these players fucking 250 grand a week, 300 grand a week. Same thing with Mason Mount. Mason Mount had a year left on his deal. Paid 60 mil for him and then give him 250 grand a week. Do you know what I mean? So all these really bad decisions have accumulated over the past 10, 15 years. And the best way to describe it is this is the colonoscopy period. This is the enema. This is whatever you want to call it, clearing all the shit out. And it's going to be painful at first. And then you can really move on as a club. You know? We really hit rock bottom, or at least at the minute, it was rock bottom when we finished 15th and lost to Spurs in the final. That's like, bang. Now you can have a pre-season where Amarin can properly work with the players, can put them on a programme, new Carrington training complex, Premier League proven players coming in, young kids coming up like Sesko Kone, Diego Leon, Chido Obi Martin. Like, there are shoots. My girlfriend's just texted me saying a colonoscopy is a camera up the bum. What's the one where they What's the one where they remove the poo from your tubes? What's that called? Poo tube. Is that an enema? Or is an enema what you have when you're pregnant? I'm really confused now. People get the metaphor, though, surely. You know what I mean, don't you? An enema. Thank you, T2. That's what I'm on about. All right, let's scrap the colonoscopy thing. An enema. This is the enema period. Do you know, sometimes, I don't know if any of you are wrestling fans, right? But the wrestling fans have eras, right? So you've got the Attitude Era, you've got the PG era, you've got, obviously now at the minute, it's kind of, it hasn't really got a name, but business is booming for WWE at the minute, so it's a name. This era, so the 90s for us was the golden era. The 2000s was, I don't know what you call it, the modern golden era, with Tevez and Vidic and Rio and all those kind of guys. The post-Fergie era is the banter era, really, where everything's just gone wrong and gone to shit. This era right now, from 2025 to 2030, is going to be the, well, hopefully not 2030, but for a good few years, is going to be the enema era. That's what we're doing. Clearing all the shit out so we can start again. And hopefully no more shit gets stuck in the pipes. The Triple H era. Thank you, Dave. We've got wrestling references here. This is what I like. People who open the mind to things. And open the bowels if you're doing an enema. James is saying, everyone talks about how bad of a deal Sancho turned out to be. Have to admit, we all wanted him, and pretty much every big side in England wanted Maguire at the time. You are correct. You're spot on, James. And that's why fans, with all due respect, including myself, shouldn't do transfers. Because it should be done with a clear, concise head who's done the due diligence on players. We see a player who plays relatively well, Sancho tearing it off for Dortmund. There's no way that can't not work out if he comes to United. An English player, and just look how much of a fucking disaster it's been. Been on loan twice. We bought him for 72 million quid. We're probably going to get rid of him for 15 million. 15 million quid, by the way. Newcastle United I've just sold Sean Longstaff with a year left on his contract to Leeds for 15 million quid. We're going to get the same amount of money that Newcastle get for Sean Longstaff with a year left on his deal, not even really played that much for him, as Jadon Sancho for us. Just eat that. How crazy is that? That's how low the bar is now. If we sold Rasmus Højlund now, we can't even sell him. We can't sell the majority of our players. And I think, just imagine looking at the books of the financials for United and going, 60 mil loss on Antony, 60 mil loss on Sancho, like all these, Pogba, 90 mil loss, 80 mil loss, whatever it was, because you let him go on a free. Just Maguire, if you sold him now, 20 million, 60 million loss. Obviously, age is a factor in that. Wan-Bissaka, what did we sell him for? 15 million, bought for 50. That is just red lines everywhere throughout history. The only player I can think of who we made profit on, genuinely, is Dan James. When we flipped it, we bought him for 15, sold him for 30, and everyone was like, hey, we've made money on a player. What's going on? So, even, this is why I like this program with Ineos with young players and bringing them up. Because even if they don't necessarily work out at the top level at United, the profit and flips that you get from it, yeah. McTominay made profit. Well, did they? Obviously, academy player, so technically, yeah, I get that. But I'm saying, when have we bought a player and sold him for profit? Someone please tell me in the chat. Maybe I'm missing something out. Can't read that chat, as I say. Dave says Sancho's fee would have been pure profit, so even if it's 15 million, would work out around 40, 45 in PSR rules. Does Garnacho to Villa make it more likely for Rodgers to go Chelsea? Tell you what, I'd take Morgan Rodgers at United in a fucking heartbeat, by the way. In a heartbeat. I think Morgan Rodgers is exactly what we need in one of those 10 positions. Carries the ball really well, so physical, decent pace on him, great finisher. Yeah. He's just running with the ball. He's as good as anyone in the league, Morgan Rodgers. So, yeah, didn't answer your question, but there you have it. I still stand by the opinion that we need to stop shopping in Italy. Listen, if anything's to go by our history, you're probably right, mate. You are falling into the net spend trap, mate. That's not how transfer costs are booked. Well, elaborate then. I'm happy to have a conversation. I'm open. Every day's a school day, We have had Maguire for 5 years, so if we would sell him now, we would get a profit, but he's most likely leaving on a free next summer. Chelsea will vouch for that, Nick, about the young players. Chelsea are the best at selling. City are also incredibly good at selling players. Maybe they should have sold one or two. We speak about Morgan Rogers then. He came from City. Speaking about Cole Palmer as well. Maybe they shouldn't have sold him. But they flip players so well, honestly. I remember selling James Trafford for like 25, 30 mil. I'm like, what the fuck? We struggle to get 30 mil for Onana at the minute. We're just bad sellers. It's just in our blood at the minute, unfortunately. So, yeah, right, let's see. Have we got any more updates or any questions or any players that you want to throw into the mix? Listen, I'm going to stay live for the next 10 minutes anyway. So, the topics and the things I wanted to go through, done, dusted. So, any questions, chats, conversations, even if it's not about United, if it's about any other football club, let's have a conversation because I'm happy to. So, yeah. Until like maybe 45-minute mark, next 8 minutes, I'd probably say. People know they can take us for a ride in the market, both buying and selling. Agreed. Transfer fee divided by term of the contract plus wages per year. Wan-Bissaka was sold at a profit when we swapped him for Maz. Yeah, listen. People play to the strengths, do what you're good at. That kind of stuff ain't my ballpark. Do you know who's really good at that kind of stuff? Muppeteers. Detail. Finances, Kieran Maguire, Muppeteers, top level. They will explain something perfectly. I love talking about football. I love talking about players, tactics, whatever it is. Everyone has their own kind of niche, you know what I'm saying? So I'll leave that to the experts, and you guys can chat to me about that. City have been a production line, more or less. United's record buying from the Bundesliga is also horrendous. Yeah. Let's go through it. United and the Bundesliga. I'm gonna do it like a quiz basically and just see how many players I can name. So you've got Shinji Kagawa. We all remember him. It was really good for Dortmund and then didn't really work out at United. You've got Jadon Sancho, really good for Dortmund, didn't work out. Maybe we should stop buying from Dortmund. Maybe that's something. Didn't really work out at United. Jadon Sancho. Who else did we sign from the German league? Weghorst, does he count on loan? Good old Vega. Didn't really work out. I mean, people will say he did well for certain scenarios, but everyone remembers the assist in the Carabao Cup final and him crying after he scored a goal. I'm trying to think who else from the Bundesliga have we signed. Sabitzer again on loan, so it's not really a proper signing. Help me out, people. Who else? Owen Hargreaves. Yeah, bad injury problems. Mkhitaryan. Yeah. Who actually was playing quite well for Inter Milan. The season just gone up until the final. It was all shit in the final, but I don't know. We've been stung that many times with transfers. Maybe that's why they are going for Majori. Great shout. De Ligt. Fucking hell, I forgot about them too. Majori and De Ligt. I think Majori's been a really good signing. Probably one of the best signings post-Fergie. I'm not even joking. For 15 million quid, 30 million quid. Absolute steal. He is a 7, 8 out of 10 every game. De Ligt, I think I see a lot of people like De Ligt, and they seem to be like quite content with him. I'm still on the fence about him because I don't think he's an elite defender, but I think he's a good standard. I think good standard's okay for now because we're finishing 15th, aren't we? So we're playing below standard. I think De Ligt is good, but I think people overhype him a little bit too much, in my opinion. Schweinsteiger, another fantastic example. Brought in fucking dodgy knees, some dodgy medicals ongoing there. Loved him as a person, respected United immensely. I know even with Schweinsteiger, there was a situation where he was training with like the under-21s and he was still, staying ultra professional, which, my God, that happens to Rashford or Sancho or anyone at the minute. Fucking, you'll hear about it, whether it's Garnacho's brother or, freedom and all that kind of shit, like, honestly. De Ligt's an elite defender and leader, not great with the ball. Yeah, I'm not, honestly, guys, I'm not sold on him that much, genuinely. Really, really not that sold on him. I will happily, I'm the first one to put my hands up and say I was wrong about that player. I'm on the fence about Ugarte as well. Ugarte, his output volume, putting fires out, interceptions, tackles, defensive volume, really, really, really good. On the ball, I think we need a lot better in midfield. A lot better. I genuinely think De Ligt could still grow and be here for a very long time. De Ligt, not anything special. Maguire, better than him. McMillan with a strong shout there. Excuse me. We could have signed Sabitzer for 15 mil, but spent silly on Ugarte. Again, Did a bit smooth the needle, though, when he was at United. He had 1 or 2 games. I remember him scoring a couple against Sevilla. Did he score against Fulham as well in that crazy game where three of their players got sent off? He didn't have that many good performances. From what I remember, anyway. I don't know. Yeah. You don't rate El Extinctor. Maybe went early there. And T2, mate. You've just fucking. If there's a metaphorical bus somewhere, you've put my head right under that. Yeah. Look. What's the word I'm looking for? Sue me for getting excited about a transfer. It happens, doesn't it? An actual fact, so you look at, again, me and Sam always talk about this. You look at the period from, when was it? Probably October-ish to January, February. He was really, really good. The performance that he did at Anfield, fantastic. Really, really well. But then just dropped off. West Ham, looking at a West Ham game where he just gets pushed to the floor and they go and score. Maybe confidence was damaged a little bit, but he's limited on the ball. There's a reason why Luis Enrique, and I was naive to think, well, no, actually, he's still a good player. He's just not getting game time. But Luis Enrique got rid of him because you look at PSG's midfield now, Fabian Ruiz, João Neves, who I wanted, by the way. That's the player we should have gone and got. And Vitinha is just unreal. They're the kind of players I like in midfield. I don't just want to talk about midfield and be like, yeah, but he's really good at tackling and he's really good at intercepting. And he a lot of leg work in there. All right, that's all great. But what about on the ball? Can he play through the lines? Does he have that switch of play on him? Those little cute passes. Can he take it under pressure? Ugarte can't do those things to an elite level. And I want someone who can. Tonali says, once upon a time, we pay 100 million on Pogba and Antony, and now we can't pay 70 million to Mbeumo. Time flies. Love that. Dave saying, thinks a bit for an Amrabat. I like cult heroes. Amrabat just because of the final in the FA Cup, innit? Simple as that. Dodgy that Benfica tell us 100 mil for João Neves, then PSG buy him for 52. Was it 52 million? Surely not. Did they? If that is true, that is utter bollocks. No, I'm not saying you're all chatting utter bollocks. 60 million euros. We literally would have got stung about 80 million quid for him. 60 million euros they paid for João Neves. Fucking steal. Absolute steal, that. Genuinely. What a player. I'm joking, mate. He still could go more. He looked knackered doing all of Casa's running. Our defence is probably the area I'm worried about the least. And by quite a... Yep. Aiden Heaven. Lenny Oro. Mateus De Ligt. Harry Maguire. Lisandro Martinez coming back into the fold. Shaw's going to get some minutes at the back. We're absolutely fine at centre-back. Goalkeeper. Still want a goalkeeper. I still want a wing-back. I think we need another wing-back in there. I'm craving a midfielder who's dominant on the ball and can conduct a game. Modric, someone like that. I wouldn't go get the Modric now, but I'm saying that kind of prototype of midfielder. Or maybe someone a bit more, probably someone a bit more athletic, to be honest with you. But with Modric's ability, if there's such thing. Reinders would have been a good one. I really like Reinders who's gone to City, but that's obviously not happening. And then attackers, a couple of attackers, which might happen with them, Mbeumo and Cunha, and then a number 9 as well. I really, really want a number 9. But we don't all live in dreamland. So he's buying Ugarte, help them buy Neves. We're absolute fools in the market and the world knows it. Yeah, we bought Ugarte for 51, I think, roughly. So they've used that money and got João Neves in. Which to me, I think stupid, genuinely. Rudy's just put the João Neves deal was obviously super shady. If we're going to play Bruno as centre mid, then all we need is a centre mid who breaks up play. United not looking for a good... No, I disagree again. Because then there becomes a reliance on Bruno to deliver. And Bruno, as good as he is creatively, and he can find that spark, Bruno is not a good ball carrier. You know what I mean? When you're trying to shift it from defense, like a Declan Rice, for example. Get a Declan Rice next to Bruno and the midfield will be okay. The issue is, you have Ugarte. We always have a situation at United where it's like, this guy's good at this, and this guy's good at that. Like, when we talk about Dallo and Wan-Bissaka, was like, oh, Wan-Bissaka's amazing at defending. Dallo's quite good, putting balls into the box, going forward. Maybe we can, like, polymerization in Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the day, you could put them together and you get a really good player. I feel like Ugarte and Bruno, they're like, yeah, they've both got their own certain qualities, but they in that midfield with the demand in Amarin's system, you need such dynamic, athletic players in the middle of the park. I don't know. I'm really, really not sold on Ugarte. Really not. I'm very surprised to see our squad, all players, become very lean, especially Casemiro. Well, yeah, there's a focus on nutrition. There's a focus on the players getting leaner. Athleticism, again, this is exactly what I've been speaking about. Players stripping down, not taking the kicks off. I mean, like, lean. Look at Casemiro now. Look at Luke Shaw. Like, that is the demand because the Premier League is the highest intensity, the highest fitness levels, like, pushed to your absolute breaking point, and you need players to be ready for that. I think we'll be a bit more equipped this season simply because, obviously, no European football. So if we go out in, the first, second, or third fixture in the Carabao Cup or FA Cup, you're playing a third less games. So we played about 60 games, was it, last season? You're probably playing 45-ish around there, potentially. So, yeah, I think we'll be more equipped, more time on the training ground with Amarin and his players, etc., etc., etc. So, yeah, Dave saying, I reckon we'll see a slight change of system this year. I've mentioned it before. I spoke about maybe dropping in a player into the midfield when you're struggling a little bit and then doing a split striker system with Acuna and Xerxes or Acuna and Mbeumo, whatever it is. I expect that, genuinely expect that. Thomas Frank does it all the time. Did it all the time. Sorry, Brentford fans. Did it quite a lot. Was quite flexible, a bit of a chameleon. Graham Potter did it as well at Brighton, really, really well. So, yeah, I agree with that. Ugarte, Xerxes and Kobe will be our most improved players this season. James saying Wharton will be expensive and one for next summer. And at least one ball-carrying midfielder and one striker is not enough. I wasn't expecting more. This is where we're at, people. Don't forget, pre-season kicks off on Saturday, so we'll have plenty of coverage of that over the weekend. I believe we're going to do something with Stretford Paddock as well, because Stretford Paddock Jay and Paddock are going to be over there doing stuff. So I'll have a chat with Jay and see if we can kind of get the feel over there, and I don't know, we'll speak about pre-season and do some stuff together. Also, this week has obviously been big for many reasons. You've got the situation with Mbeumo, which is getting really, really close to being done. So I would advise you all, please do turn on the notification bell on YouTube. And please do check us out on Instagram as well, because the reason why I say that, and people will validate if you follow us on Instagram, if you are someone who, that's the wrong thing to put on the screen, Nick, what are you doing? If you are someone who appreciates quick updates, transfer fix, stuff around Carrington, whatever it is, drop us a follow on social media, I promise you. It's got absolutely everything. I've just put that thing on the screen again. It's got absolutely everything that you need to know about Manchester United by the minute. So, yeah, I would implore you to go give that a follow if you can. Subscribe to the channel. Closer and closer and closer every day to 20,000 subscribers, which is absolutely incredible. It took us, I believe, a couple of years to hit 10k, and it's took us almost 6 months to do 10k. So, you look at the comparison, it's like, wow. Like, the growth is rapid. Pause. So, yeah, and that's because you lot. So, appreciate you all. Go and enjoy whatever you're doing. Football will be returning soon. Hopefully, we'll have Cunha and Mbeumo on the same lineup. Let's get moving on to midfield targets. Not defenders. We don't need defenders. You just said that, Nick. Midfield targets, striker, and maybe even we sort the goalkeeper situation out. Who knows? Appreciate you all.